The revival of the Ford Bronco is one of the most highly regarded off-road models that came out in recent years. So much so that the Bronco stole a lot of sales from its fierce competitor, the Jeep Wrangler. However, there is not only sunshine and rainbows when it comes to the Ford Bronco. There are still some downsides when it comes to the model. So if you want to learn what these downsides are, stick with us while we cover the 8 reasons why you should avoid the Ford Bronco. Number 8. Body on frame design. Now let's start with the biggest problem with the Ford Bronco and why people avoid this model when it comes to their future purchases. This is basically the platform on which this model is built. The Ford Bronco uses something that is known as body on frame construction or ladder frame. So what does this mean? Well, this means that there are 2 steel beams that go from the front of the vehicle to the rear. These are connected in a few places, and the whole frame forms a rectangle on which the body of the vehicle is placed. This is a pretty old school approach when it comes to vehicle design, and it is almost abandoned by everyone. Nowadays, it is primarily used for trucks and heavy SUVs. Driving such a vehicle with such a frame means compromises. Such a model means heavy weight, and also a lot of body roll. For those who don't know, body roll is a common problem in trucks. It's pretty uncomfortable driving such a vehicle. So overall, for those who are looking for comfort, we can tell you that the Ford Bronco is not the right model for you. And this is the case for many other buyers out there. Buyers who want to opt for comfort opt for a crossover SUV instead of the Bronco. But is this problem solvable? Well, not quite. If the Bronco moves to a unibody platform, it will not be as good as it is now in terms of off-roading. So this means that the model will lose the whole clientele. So if you want a Ford Bronco, you'll have to deal with these compromises. If not, you should be better off purchasing the crossover SUV variant, the Bronco Sport. This model is a much better performer when it comes to daily commutes. Number 7. No hybrid powertrain. Now let's talk about another big drawback of the Ford Bronco. We live in a hybrid era, where more and more manufacturers are starting to introduce their own take on this technology. This is also the case with Ford, but unfortunately, they didn't bring these changes to the Bronco. This is a big downside because the Wrangler already offers a 4xe model, and this model sells really well. So the Bronco is basically lagging behind the competition and losing sales on a daily basis. There are plenty of customers in California, for example, who will be more than happy to purchase such a model. People over there go crazy for EVs and hybrids. So overall, this is a missed opportunity for Ford that they don't offer such a model. Hopefully, in the near future, they will start to include a hybrid version of the Bronco. But as of now, there are no reports of that happening. You might be asking, what does this model look like? Well, the engine that will probably be used in this model will be the 2.3-liter EcoBoost. But this time, this engine will be implemented with a powerful electric motor and a large battery. This would result in more power and also a very good combined fuel economy. This hybrid model would consume the same amount of fuel both in the city and highway. Most importantly, it will have at least 40 miles in EV range alone. This will make the Bronco plug-in hybrid perfect for those who want to save money on gas and drive an eco-friendly vehicle. One major downside of this model will be the incredibly high price tag, mainly due to the large battery pack. Batteries are expensive, and this is one of the deal breakers. But overall, the impact of this model will be good since there are many buyers who are interested in such a vehicle. Number 6. Poor practicality. Another big downside of the Ford Bronco that we must cover is the practicality aspect. This model is not one of the best when it comes to doing practical day-to-day stuff, like doing groceries or taking your kids to school. Why that is so is because the interior space is limited, especially in the rear where legroom is almost non-existent. It is difficult to seat passengers in the rear in the 2-door version, while in the 4-door model they might struggle for legroom. Headroom is also a big problem for passengers who are taller. This is why we cannot really recommend the Bronco if you need to carry more than one passenger. If you need more space to carry passengers, we recommend the Bronco Sport, the crossover SUV version of the Bronco. In addition to the space inside the cabin, we can also note the poor cargo space for storing items. The 2-door version offers a mediocre 22.4 cubic feet of space with a max of 52.3 cubic feet if you fold the rear seats. While the four-door version is a slightly better performer, this model will get you up to 35.6 cubic feet of space behind the rear seats, and up to 83 cubic feet of space if you fold the rear seats. This is why, if you look for practicality, you should definitely choose the four-door model. This model offers better passenger comfort and also more space for storing items. It is more expensive, but at least you will not have to deal with many frustrations that can come with the two-door version. Number 5. Poor fuel economy. Fuel economy is another area of discussion when it comes to the Ford Bronco. This is mainly due to the fact that Ford has not yet released a hybrid powertrain, so the overall fuel economy of the Ford Bronco is low to average. The most efficient engine is the base 2.3-liter EcoBoost. This engine will give you up to 20 miles per gallon combined, while a 2.7-liter EcoBoost will give you up to 17 miles per gallon combined. The worst is the Raptor model with the 3.0-liter EcoBoost engine, which will only return up to 15 miles per gallon. However, all these numbers are EPA lab-tested numbers. Real-world fuel economy might be 2 to 3 miles per gallon lower than this. This is why the lineup needs a hybrid powertrain. With a mild hybrid, we can see numbers up to 26 miles per gallon combined, and with a plug-in hybrid version, we can have a similar fuel economy and up to 40 miles in EV mode alone. That's why a hybrid is more than essential in order for the offerings to improve and buyers to have the chance to get a fuel-efficient vehicle. Number 4. Tons of road and wind noise. One big con of the Ford Bronco is the fact that this model produces a ton of wind noise. This will be your worst enemy if you drive a lot on the highway. So much so that this noise is basically unbearable. The big, meaty tires are producing tons of noise, and also the poor aerodynamics make things even worse. In addition to this, the Bronco has some very poor insulation that is not helping prevent this noise from entering the cabin. So when you want to purchase a Ford Bronco, you need to be prepared for these heavy compromises. With this model, this is fully normal. That's why we wouldn't recommend the Bronco to those who drive a lot on the highway or spend a lot of time in their vehicle driving. Also, we advise that you should perform a test drive if you want to purchase this model. A test drive will tell a lot about the conditions that you will face. Number 3. Cheap interior. We mentioned the cheap insulation of this model, and we also need to note a thing or two about its interior. The interior of the Ford Bronco is extremely cheap and utilitarian. This model is made for the off-road course and not for comfort. There is hard plastic everywhere that feels cheap, and the overall impression once you drive the model is not that good. We think that Ford should put more effort into making the Bronco look like a slightly better performer in this area and bring a more luxurious feel to the driver. Number 2. Poor handling. Another big downside of the Ford Bronco is the poor handling of this model, especially the models with the big, meaty all-terrain tires. These models are not some of the best handling machines. The tires simply do not allow for a sharp response. This is why, if you need precision in handling, you should opt for something else that turns a good old summer tire. Number 1. It's expensive. Last but not least, we must note Ford Bronco's high price tag. This model is crazy expensive, and this makes a lot of potential buyers avoid this specific vehicle. The Bronco has a base price of $39,630. This price is for the Big Bend model that comes with a 2.3-liter engine. Pretty plain vehicle overall. A model that we recommend opting for is the Badlands, but this model will set you back over $50,000. That's why we think that the Bronco is not one of the best deals when taking into consideration the Jeep Wrangler and its low starting price of $31,995.